Hello everyone, welcome to the third lecture of Professional Pathshala's course, that is research methodology. So in this lecture, that is the third lecture, we will be covering the research process. So in this specific module, we will be gaining some insights into the process, that what are the various stages through which our research is conducted. Before we start with it, let me tell you that for every research the stages may vary. The stages may be different. For example, for a business research the stages may be different because the requirement for a business research is altogether different as compared to scientific research. Therefore, what I have done, I'll try to cover the business research and a process which is common across every research. So there are certain stages which are common across every research process. So I'll be covering that as well. So let's start, and before we move, let's have a look at the learning objective. So by the end of this lecture, you will be able to understand and you will be able to create a research design for a problem. Do you have a preliminary idea about causal research? What is a causal research? Differentiate between exploratory research, descriptive research and causal research. So maybe these two will be covered in the next lecture, since the process is a very lengthy one. So for the convenience, what I have done, I have divided the whole process into 10 stages. So through various references you will find that there are 7-stage process, there may be 5-stage process as well. As I told you, depending upon the type of research you are conducting, the stages may vary. But the basic objective of conducting a research would be same. It cannot be differentiated, right? So the first step is problem or opportunity identification. This is a very important step. Although I would say that every step is important, but in problem or opportunity identification, here the researcher, means a person who is interested to conduct a research, identifies where the problem lies. So it can identify the symptoms or effects of the problem, but to understand the reasons of the problem, a systematic research has to be adopted, definitely. So in order to execute the research, you have to identify where the problem lies. For a company, for a scientific researcher, the objectives of course may be different, but the ultimate objective or the ultimate purpose which they will solve is to identify the problem, means where the problem lies. For a company, declining market share can be problem. For scientists, discovering a vaccine may be a relevant case where they find an opportunity to prove themselves or to find a solution to the problem. So the problem identification is very important because without problem you won't be able to move ahead. So a problem well defined is half done actually, right? So let's move on to the third or second stage, that is decision maker and researcher meeting to discuss the problem or opportunity dimension. This is very relevant in case of business research. So as you find the case with the business research, where the person who will be taking the decision, he meets with the researcher. Let's say, suppose a company has a problem of declining market shares. The company has this problem. So what the company people will do, the company people will meet a researcher and they will decide that yes, what problem dimensions they need to look for. So the decision maker contacts the researcher and discusses the problem or the opportunity. The researcher can only suggest a solution to the problem, but actual decision is taken by the decision maker. Likewise, you might have seen that the UK government, today itself the news came that the UK government has given a nod and has invested some money into the Oxford University's research. They are conducting it. So who is the ultimate decision maker? The ultimate decision maker is the federal government of UK. So they are the decision makers, that whatever will be the outcome of the research, either they're gonna adopt it or not. Means if they are able to find the vaccine for the coronavirus, so whether they will be taking it as a vaccine which can be used for exactly for the cure of coronavirus, or they won't be taking it. So it's up to the authorities will be taking the decision. So definitely they'll take the decision whatever will be in the interest of the whole mankind. But my motive of explaining this is that once the decision maker meets the researcher and they discuss some of the problems or where the opportunity lies, so relating it with the opportunities, they discuss okay on what matter we need to proceed and how we gonna do it. The third one is defining the problem. Means once a problem has been identified, it has been discussed. Now the third is a defining the problem. Means how you will define it. Defining the problem means what action you will be taking once you are exactly segregated the problem. That yes, this is the problem, my market share is declining, but what is the reason? So there may be 5-6 reasons, but you have identified that yes, this is a main problem I have identified. So here this is how it is different from the first stage. So here you have defined the problem, there you have identified it, now here you have defined it clearly that yes, this is your problem. Now formal research proposal and introducing the dimensions to the problem. See, the first step, identifying the problem, discussing it out, third one defining the problem, and the fourth one is formal research proposal and introducing dimension to the problem. Now what the researcher will do, researcher will prepare a formal proposal, right? Researcher will prepare a formal proposal and develop the approaches to research problem. So what it will do, the researcher will do, it will, with the help of theory, with the help of existing literature, will make a framework kind of thing. Means a structure, or you can say a rough format, that will help the researcher to understand the basic assumptions and what are the things which are involved in the whole process of it. Means how the researcher will reach towards its ultimate goal. Here I have exemplified it with the help of an case or a small example, right? So here you can see these are the steps to measure the buying intention. Means you will be asking, or you're going to measure actually the buying intention. As we all are aware that intention is something that comes before behavior. Means if I am going to buy something, but before buying I will develop buying intentions. So in various researches it has been proved that before executing anything we develop some intentions. So now what the researcher has done, researcher has identified that brand image, brand awareness, price, availability of the products, and after sale service, they are the factors which affect the buying intention of any product or service. Fine. So of course it will be a product only because after sale services are involved. But these are the moderators that they play a role. Means brand image and may be having a positive role, but once age is involved it may have a less impact or more impact. So same male may be having more buying or more positive buying intention as compared to females, or vice versa. The same is the case with the income. So means it has been developed like a theoretical model. A theoretical model has been developed so that the researcher reaches out to the ultimate problem. So amongst it, the researcher may be having one objective to identify which one impacts the most. Maybe so. Where lies the problem? Is it a problem of income, gender, or age? So this step, basically, this one, right? So formal research proposal and introducing dimensions to the problem. So now these dimensions have been given to the problem. Ultimate problem is a buying intention, because intentions are not positive, or people are not able to buy something, or they are not buying it. So these are the dimensions which have been added. So 4 steps we have done so far. If you remember, the first one is identifying the problem, because there you identify where the problem lies. In the second step, the second step deals with decision maker while they meet with the researcher. The third one is defining the problem. Fourth one is the introduction of dimensions to the problem. Then once they have been done, they frame some hypothesis. So what is hypothesis? A hypothesis is just an assumption which a researcher wants to prove, disprove, or a researcher is interested to explore. That's why here you can see brand image has significant impact on buying intention and linear impact as well. So buying intention, brand image has impact on buying intention. Brand image has a significant impact on buying intention. So what we are assuming, assuming means we are just saying in our mind and we are writing it over here that brand image has something to do with buying intention. So it is the purchases are coming just because brand image is very good. The same way brand awareness, price, availability, after sales service, these things. Fine. So we have done so far with the 4 stages. Since what I have done inside these all 10 stages, I have covered the various types of research as well. So it's a pretty long, but at the end I'll tell you that there are some of the stages or some of the steps or some of the processes where the whole research proposal or research process is confined up to 7 stages. That's also right. There's no right or wrong in it, but the approach, or you can say the method, may be different. So as I told you in the initial phase of this specific lecture, that there is nothing like that there's a 7-stage process, there's a 5-stage process, or there may be 10-stage process, but ultimately the research ends up with a solution to the problem, and in the form of if it is in the form of a written report, so definitely 1 step more would be added into it. So there may be 10 steps, there may be 7 steps. So depending upon the objective, depending upon the type of research, it's an academic research, it's a scientific research, it's a business research, so the research steps may vary on that basis. So in this specific lecture I'll just putting an end to this lecture, and in the upcoming lecture we will start from hypothesis. Why we frame hypothesis? We'll start with the 5th stage of it, or the 5th part of it, right? So that would be the 5th part, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. So then inside these stages we'll be covering various other things which are associated with the research. So keep liking the videos, share it with your fellows you feel that they will be benefited by it, and do subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed to it. So I hope these lecture series will help you to attain your goal and will be helpful to you as well. Thank you. Thanks a lot.